Hey everyone, welcome back to the iConis podcast. As usual, it's Barry 3D along with Larry Reclizado, right? Rod is still busy doing Barbados on the Boulevard, so check that out in Toronto. And we got together, we started talking, and we're going to talk about, you know, oh, Canada, Canadian superheroes. More than you think. Let's roll those credits. Hey everyone, thank you for tuning around and joining us once again on the iConis podcast. It's Barry 3D, as I said, along with Larry Reclizado. Larry Reclizado. Wow, I got cotton mouth today. And tongue-tied, that's why I really mean, not because, okay. And we're not joined by Rod, but, he's here in spirit. So, before we jump into the show, we mentioned Canadian superheroes, but we're going to break it down because manners maketh the man. Where can you find us? You can find me at barry3d.com. Barry3d.com. Anything I'm doing with this show and of course, anything else. And along with my stand up, keep an eye out for all the goodness going on. And Brother Larry.
Hey,
Hey.
you can find me at the Forgotten, Obscure, and Underrated Comic Characters page on Facebook. And of course, just to let you know, since he's not here, you can find Rod at Mr. Rod C on Instagram.
Absolutely. And of course, if you need any digital work done for like templates and so forth like that, because you want to start a podcast or whatever project you want, be it if it's going to be a digital or physical media, there's one man and one man you should turn to only, and that man is Mr.
Hey,
Jason
Bird,
Reese, J
J
Bird
Bird,
Digital
Digital.
Arts. There we go, Mr. J Bird
Yes.
Digital Arts. You tell him you heard about him on the iConis podcast. He'll give you a discount on any work you need to be get done. Thank you, Jay, for always supporting the channel. You're an awesome individual. And if you really know Jay, you know he likes to juggle. So check him out. And I mean that literally.
All
You can
right.
see him on Instagram. All right. So, Larry, you know, thank you, Larry, for now coming on this side of the border, so to speak. And you want to talk about a Canadian superheroes, right? Remember, like,
Yep.
subscribe, and share. Don't let it show be a secret. There we go. Canadian superheroes. All right. Who pops to mind, or who would you want to start with, Larry?
Well, let's start with the beginning. I mean, Nelvana of the Northern Lights.
Oh, good character. Yes, yes.
Yes, great character. First female superhero up in Canada, predating Wonder Woman. Uh, First appeared in Triumph Adventure Comics #1, August of 1941. Great character. Um, Basically, if you are still reading stuff, a lot of her background is kind of readjusted for a character of in Alpha Flight Snowbird.
Yes,
They're very similar.
yes. Wink, wink. Yes, and
Hmm.
I meant again when I first got into comics, like many years ago, and I started reading. Obviously, I was very happy being a Canadian, right? And reading about Alpha Flight. So Alpha Flight, you always read the Avengers. So when I saw Alpha Flight came aboard or came up, the first time I mentioned about it, I was excited because like, oh, we got Canadian superheroes, and they're one of the ones that kind of stood out. Then of course the team that was behind them made it even stand out for me more, right? So like John Bryan, Chris Claremont. I won't get too much into Alpha Flight. I know we're gonna probably talk about it later on, but that's where it kind of came across my radar. And then hearing about Snowbird's origin, at first I didn't catch it until, I got a little bit more seasoned into the collecting and then dove deeper into other books to see what was there. And oh wow, what a rich and deep history, and to
Yeah.
know that Canadian and predating Wonder Woman at that time, uh, she was a goddess, and the sales in her book were really good. And you got to think for half a second, right? Like from her debut of when she came out and being a female lead in a comic book, and
Yeah.
the sales were really strong with that. Usually you would think comic books, aimed towards males, young men, wouldn't get into a female led book, but they sure did. It's like from back then, this is something that everyone was probably craving in the industry, and it was showing Canadian mythology, integrated within the superhero genre to to people outside of Canada.
Yeah.
So well done.
Yeah. I mean, and even, I mean, she was so popular that um, back in, let's see, I think it was 95, they did a bunch of stamps up there. And she was one of them,
Yes,
along with Superman and a couple others when we talk about, like Captain Canuck and Fleur de Lys.
right.
Um, so I'm going to talk about them a bit more too. But Nelvana, daughter of a god and a mortal woman, sound familiar?
Wonder Woman.
Yeah. Um, Her various powers include flight, um, ability to melt metal with her ray beams. She can disrupt radio communications, and all of this is because of her father, who basically became the mythological god of the Northern Lights. So, um, yeah, Poliak, the mighty king of the Northern Lights,
Right.
and
So
yeah,
she's so cool. So hold on. And here and now, once again, I don't know. So I'm not gonna ask, right? Because people, if you don't know something, you ask the question. So the question
yeah,
is, was she ever like officially adopted into Marvel? Or not Marvel, yeah, Marvel. Was she ever, or they just kind of loosely based it?
they,
And did she have a reoccurring villain that she dealt with? Like usually, a lot of the characters have like a rogues gallery. Um,
yeah. Um, she had a couple she ran into two or three times, but not a lot that really dropped up um, at that time. Um, she did have a Dr. Electra, uh, which was a super criminal with an atom ray, uh, who murders her boyfriend, reporter. Um, and other than that, she really doesn't have a lot of characters that popped up over and over again. Uh, so no real rogues gallery. And
okay,
as for Marvel, no, they just basically, I mean, John Byrne basically took a lot of the idea from her because her brother gets a curse
mm,
on him and he can't be seen by mortals except in the form of a dog.
yes,
So kind of a shapeshifter thing. And he basically took some of the ideas there and who moved him over into Alpha Flight when he started Alpha Flight.
okay, okay. So I
Yeah.
wonder. See now, once again, that's and I don't know if the character's public domain or not yet at this time.
Um, Technically, her adventures are.
Mhm.
She's not at the moment, although she will be in a couple of years.
Okay, so all right. Well, then who knows if there's a studio out there who's looking to do something live action,
Yeah.
animated. You know, time is ticking, or if it goes public domain, or if someone turns around and kind of really pushes the idea. And there's always things that I think as Canadians we overlook, right? So we're always waiting for like our North American, our American brothers, so to speak, to lead the charge when it comes to like, hey, we have a project, we're gonna film it, we're gonna do it. Here we are, and this is one, especially with the superhero genre going on right now today. This is one that could start and would really type a lot of roots. So yeah,
All
all
right.
for
And
that.
let's go to my next guy here. Now, this guy's a little bit more like Dan Dare and those adventure type characters.
Mhm.
His name was Canada Jack.
Yes.
Athlete adventurer, decided to use his powers to combat crime, fifth columnist during World War II. First appears in Canadian Heroes, number 5, 1943. Um, some of the publishers out there long gone. This was educational projects, but he was basically a little bit stronger than normal, mostly athletic, type gymnast, jujitsu expert horseman, and pilot. So, very interesting character when it comes down to it. But again, he's very much like a lot of the adventure comics that you read in the papers and
Mhm.
so on. I'm trying to think of the name of the one that we had down here. Um, it'll come to me later. But yeah, he's basically think Race Bannon type.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. And once
Yeah,
again, it's like another character that can either be brought back, expanded on, or create a legacy for this character,
Yep.
right? Doesn't mean that the character stopped and you know. And I mean,
Yep.
I don't know. I'm just gonna go with the usual tropes. Usually, there is a love interest with these characters,
Yep.
so therefore, there could be a family.
Yep.
They
And
could be like, oh,
since his original publishers don't exist anymore, he is public domain.
oh, okay then. So that's Canadian Jack, right?
Canada Jack.
Oh, Canada Jack. Okay, Canada Jack. All right,
Yeah.
public domain.
Yeah. And then we jump to a character that really started in the 1800s. It got reinvented in World War II of Johnny Canuck.
Yes.
So yeah. You apparently knew Johnny Canuck.
You know, as I said, I've expanded over the years, and I think that's one thing. It's like wherever you live, you always want to know, do we have heroes? Right now, some of them are like, right easy to jump out, like Captain America. Okay, fine, we know where he's associated with. But then you have Canada, you have the UK, and you
Yep.
have other places around the world, Japan, China, whatever, all around the
Yep.
world. And do we have local heroes? Now, sometimes the big companies do make those heroes for those places. And sometimes you have some history that you would only know of if you're living in the area or, in those countries. Like everyone knows Union Jack, but Union Jack was through Marvel Comics slash, there. It's not to say there was, so maybe there's other heroes over there that obviously I won't know, right?
Right.
Unless I really went and dig a deep dive. So, not saying they're not interesting. I just admit you only know what you know. Okay.
Yeah. So Canada Jack basically, like I said, was originally a created as a political cartoon in 1869,
Mhm.
reinvented in the Second World War, 1942. Um, a professional hockey ice team in the National Hockey Leagues, been using him as a logo. Um, and he basically was a lumberjack and a national personification of Canada. Uh, so, where he was portrayed as the younger cousin of the United States Uncle Sam
Ah,
and Britain's John Bull.
okay.
Yeah, so that's intriguing. I hadn't read that before. Um, so, and Bell Features started doing his 1942 exploits. Um, had a few recurring, but mostly, again, since it's the 40s, gonna fight Nazis,
Hmm.
just like pretty much everybody.
That's one thing where they all united.
Yep. He also got on a postage stamp, apparently.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Uh, um, and he was in that he was appeared in a dressed in a flight jacket, goggles, leather headgear, and boots. Um, and Johnny Canuck is linked to a tradition of stalwart, honest, upstanding Canadian heroes.
Hey.
That sounds like the truth, justice, and the American way old bit for our.
But that's exactly what it's supposed to be. And and here's what where I'm always, my tagline kind of reflects to with a lot of this. These were created at the time to deal with, how we would like to see certain things dealt with at the time. World War II. Who's to say that it can't go deeper than that, right? What might be seen as Johnny Canuck, okay, he's upstanding, so forth like that. In this day and age, could he be a super soldier? Could he be influenced by something else that we didn't even think about? The object maybe enhance his abilities, or who else was around him to build him up? And that's not just for him; it's for every character. So this is why I said that you can always breathe some life into these characters and put them into modern time, so to speak, for not modern time, but maybe more modern Odyssey. It seems sometimes you don't even need to put them in a modern era. You can leave them in their era
Yeah,
and just expand more on their story. Not everything has to be taking place today, as we speak. If it was created in the 40s, I said I look at Agent Carter, where that series, was done for Disney Plus, and it was prior to Disney Plus, but it was done on TV for 2 seasons, and she took place in the 1940s or so forth. Like
yeah,
then, so sometimes I like a good
yeah,
throwback.
yeah. And I mean, sometimes it's nice to see we're watching these characters in their original time period. I mean, I would greatly like to watch a Justice Society kind of show um, with the original group,
Yeah,
you know,
in their
and
time period. Like make it so. Uh,
yeah,
James Cameron, like I said, one of the movies I enjoy might not be critically acclaimed, storyline, but visually it really stood out. Was Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow.
great show, great movie.
Yeah, absolutely. I loved how it was filmed. I loved how they captured how movies and the style of movies were done visually, verbally back in that time period, and they totally nailed it. I think the cast nailed it. It's a go to of mine if I haven't watched it in a while, so I maybe I throw it on a weekend. But we talked about it even on the show, and yeah, that it was such a if you it was so well received in my opinion that I'm surprised they haven't tried to do more movies like that. It's a movie. It can take place in any time period. It doesn't have to be today or always in the future.
Yep. And now we're going to jump ahead quite a bit to 1975.
Okay.
And this was probably the first Canadian superhero I ever ran into,
Mm-hmm.
Captain Canuck. Created by
Yes.
cartoonist Ron Leishman and artist Richard Cumley. First appeared in Captain Canuck #1, July of 1975. Um, yep, that's him.
Yeah, this is
Yep,
more the modern version where they did the uptake of him, right? But
right.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, technically there have been three different Captain Canucks at this point. Um, and the 1993 one, where Canada became the most powerful country in the world. He was a costume international security organization agent. He also was on postage stamp. Um, Original Adventures published till 1981. Um, and there have been several like miniseries and such with the captain. Um, it basically got over here in with Cumley Comics
yep,
out of Winnipeg, Manitoba, and um, we didn't get a lot of it. But when I read the first few issues, I fell in love with the character. Uh, I just thought this was an awesome character, and that was the original Darren Oaks. Um, so
right. And the colors, that's what popped really for me when I saw the original Captain Canuck book, like the Richard Comley one. It
yeah,
was the colors that they used when they were drawing the character on the pages. It captured like the nice sunsets. It captured that. I think it really captured the landscape of Canada. It gave locations in the book that you would recognize. So at one point, it's like, oh, we're in Montreal, Quebec. It's like, shoot, I live in Montreal, Quebec. Where were they at? you know,
yeah,
so that's what stood out for me. And then it really kind of dived into their roots. So that was the first time I came across that book was pretty much my first jump into the Canadian superheroes around the same time with a couple of others. But that one is what stood out for me, and I was like, hey, you guys got Captain America, we got Captain Canuck. Okay, we're good.
yeah,
Let's go for it. And how they portrayed Canada at that time, what he was trying to do, the story, of course, and then we've covered this different times. Went way further than I had no idea that's how they were going to go with the story. And I was familiar with the first one, second one not so much, and of course I said I have the third one here. They had the web episode, and I got lucky that over the past couple of years, for anyone watching the channel or listening to our podcast, I did have a chance to interview Richard Comley at one of the conventions, which was a great chat that we had. So there, I mean, I'm always appreciative of all the chats we had. And then I had a chat with Kaleman Adrofsky. So Kaleman is an artist, and he worked on the Chapter House Captain Canuck. So that's the more recent one, like the picture of the doll or action figure. Sorry, the action figure that I was holding here in my hand. And he worked on that look where they did the web episodes. You can find on YouTube. And what was
mhm,
really interesting is that they actually put and got the license for Platinum Blonde, which is a Canadian rock band. The lead singer's from the UK, but Platinum Blonde,
yep,
they had that big song "Crying Over You," and they got to use their song, and they portrayed themselves, or they had them portrayed in the web episode where he
awesome.
was, in Ottawa on Parliament Hill, kind of. having to defuse a bomb from going off. So it
Yep.
incorporated everything, new
Yeah,
look,
it's a good.
everything like that. A lot of action.
Yeah, it's a good thing that they had the web episode because the animated series, the live TV series, and the movie all fell through.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Which is
hmm,
a shame. And it's popular amongst uh, Canadian fans. And the thing, as I said, so you can see Cameron Nadrowski, who worked on the Chapter House one. You could, if you go to your local comics cons, right, like especially here in Canada, you can see Richard Comley. He's always going around and touring on those. And then, of course, Chapter House themselves, especially it was last year they were out and they're doing a big push because it was like its 40th anniversary. So they had a lot of specials going on with like the statues, like the resin statues of him that you can get, and they were pushing it. So it's funny that they're all like, even though they all worked on one project, they're all like part. Like Kalen also has his own stuff, right? So of
right.
course he's not just be exclusive, but you got Richard Comley, and then further down you got Chapter House, which are both promoting the exact same character. So
Yep.
I find that interesting, but at the same time, you figure they'd make one mega booth together and try to work hand in hand. So I don't know what, I'm not saying there's any drama. I'm just saying I don't
It'd be
know
nice to
why
see
they
it.
don't. Right.
Yeah, it would be nice to see it. Um, and fortunately, IDW has published some collections of the Captain Canuck series, so you can at least get some of those because finding the back issues is not easy, especially down here in the States.
Right. Even here, I think it'd still be tough, depending on who you go to. So you got to go to your local comic book store and then see if they got
They,
some deep bins, as I call it, or good connections. So
yeah,
I know I always talk about it. Wow Comics out in Kitchener, they definitely have it. They West definitely has it.
yep,
There's no question about there. And the beauty with it is, doesn't matter if you don't live in Kitchener. Once you reach out to Wild Comics, they ship cross border, cross Canada.
yep,
So you don't have to worry about, oh man, I can't make it there, Barry. Oh no, they can ship it to you. Just give them a ring. There we go.
yep, yep. And now we're going to jump ahead a little bit more, and we're going to come up with a character called Northguard.
Don't know Northgard.
All right, well, Northguard is created by Mark Shane Bloom and Gabriel Morissetti.
Mm-hmm.
Originally appeared in the Canadian comic books published by Matrix Graphics series. Made his first appearance in New Triumph featuring Northguard number one. Uh, Character is basically was a video store manager and comic book enthusiast who was enlisted by a group called Progressive Allied Canadian Technologies, PACT, um, who basically gave him a suit that gave him some interesting abilities. Um, he, in his first couple of fight appearances, he actually had problems fighting, and we're going to get to the person next that joined up with him, kind of as a sidekick, but also kind of as his trainer. Um, but let me see here. No. All right. So the suit is called the Uniband. First weapon created by Pack Corporations. Um, it works on a loophole in the laws of thermodynamics, apparently, and taps into a white hole. So it kind of bends the space-time laws of physics. Um, he's got something similar to a repulsor blast called the Unibolt. Has both kinetic and electrical charge. He can basically give you an electrical shock through his suit. Has a force field, a plasma type form, and it gives him some increased strength. But yeah, he starts out as a character that he's not a superhero. He's a guy who works in a video store, and but he learns along the way. Now,
Nice.
getting getting from there, the person that actually ends up joining with him, she's called Fleur de Lys.
Right.
Superheroine from Quebec, an ally of Northgard, created in 1984. Featured in, well, first seen in New Triumph, featuring Northguard number one in her um, in her non-superhero identity, but who's a martial arts expert and teacher. Uh, and she's from Quebec. Um, she has a non-lethal lightsaber type weapon to help vanquish her foes. But basically, she teaches Northguard how to fight,
Hmm.
and she adopts the um, character of Fleur de Lys as her superhero name, and of course, which is the official emblem of Quebec.
That's
And
right.
yeah, and she also got a stamp, so
Huh.
which is a which is intriguing because she's technically a sidekick in a way, um, but she gets a stamp, and Northgard doesn't.
Oh, Northgard. It's almost
And
reminiscent
apparently,
like of the comic book Kick Ass with Hit Girl, right? Like Hit Girl trains Kick Ass to be better,
yeah,
and he's
kind
supposed
of.
to be the main person.
Yeah, and apparently in 2010 she got a she was featured in an animated web series called Heroes of the North.
Yes, yes. So she was in that anime series, and that's what I was going to mention. And then they did also like a live version of it, right? So it was a lot of, you know, it was a live thing. You can find it on YouTube. They had
Hmm.
like individual episodes, and this is something they're working on. And I actually knew one of the guys in there
Hmm.
that was working on that whole piece. So it's funny. I mean, in real life, this person was multiple things. He was a cosplayer. He's an actor. He was in the army. His name's Andy. This guy is like multi-talented. If anyone had to be a real life superhero, would have been Andy. I've known him for years, and that's what I'm pulling up here. And he was in actually one of the web episodes. I can't remember if it was his character was called Eight Ball. Um,
Hmm.
I'd have to right. It was like a black costume, but I think that's what it was. He was kind of a more of like a vigilante character
Okay.
um, in that web episode. You know, and I said they know they're supposed to do a part two, and uh, didn't get a part two to it, like a continuation of the series. But as I said, if you look up Heroes of the North on YouTube, there we go. They got like 71 videos. Sorry, yeah, 71 videos. So all little different shorts, some like 5 minutes, some a little bit longer, going through their
Hmm.
origins. Yeah, Eight Ball. That's who Andy played. So Andy, my buddy Andy played Eight Ball, and he's in the one of the episodes, and you can see them there. It's like about 4 minutes and 8 seconds. Heroes of the North, along with different people of different notoriety, in there. So it was good. They put effort into it, live action like this one here, and I wish they did more because the talent was there. Uh, just wish the studios were a little bit more with them to broaden their horizons. And this was done. Gosh, you're saying how many years ago? Um,
Yeah.
if they came back today, I think they wanted to do more. Yeah,
Hmm.
maybe I got to track Andy down and see, get some insight on that. There we go. That's
All
for
right.
sure. But yeah, people, check it out. Heroes of the North on YouTube. There we go.
Very interesting. All right. And now we're going to jump well around a little bit, and we're going to talk about X-Men and Kenny X-Men number 109, where John Byrne brings in a character called Weapon Alpha, who was um, part of Department H, and he was going to get Wolverine back to Canada from the X-Men. That didn't quite work out for
It did not.
him.
So here's my love hate relationship with Alpha Flight.
Hmm.
Love the look,
Yep.
love the characters. I'm talking the original run when they made
Yeah.
their appearance, right? I love the fact that, it's costumes. I love the powers. Even love the connection. We also learn later on, if you keep reading that Wolverine has a thing for redheads.
Yeah.
Once again, that's his weakness. But let's talk about James Hudson for a second.
Yep.
James is he's a scientist. and he tries to, I guess, be a hero without fully understanding what being a hero is. It's like going, it's like what we said before about, we talked about Prime, right? It's like,
Yep.
this young kid knows, oh yeah, heroes should be bulky and strong and commanding, and this I'm going to talk all the time. And I feel James does that, saying, "Well, if I'm going to be the leader of Alpha Flight, or I'm going to be a superhero representing Canada, I got to be a hero." And he goes in, and as smart as he is, he doesn't seem to have common sense and makes more mistakes that the rest of Alpha Flight usually have to save him from. Uh, save him from himself, save him from getting his butt kicked by other people, or pointing out where he went wrong. And that's James always seems to do, is he makes you think for someone so smart, no common sense. Like for example, you talk about that very first appearance he came in there. He came in as Vindicator, right?
Weapon Alpha.
Welp Alpha, and then he takes the name Vindicator at one point.
Then Guardian, and then Vindicator.
Okay, so was it Guardian first or Vindicator first? I mean,
It
after
was
Weapon
Guardian
Alpha.
first.
Oh, it's Guardian first. Okay, so he came in as Guardian. You can go with Guardian. Vindicator sounds cool though. I like Vindicator too. But when he makes that appearance, he attacks the X-Men by himself because he's very cocky. He's like, my suit can do whatever Iron Man suit can do, and this suit's super great. And don't get me wrong, if you look through his power list, there's a lot of things his suit can do that they really never portrayed. You have to read like the original run of Marvel Universe to find the character, and then you look at his powers, and it's like he can do like teleportation, and I think they only showed it once,
Yep.
right? And they explain why and how he teleports. And they never really touch that power again. So he shows up in the X-Men. He wants to bring back Wolverine because he's going to be showing the Canadian people how he does things. We're not going to stand for this. And he attacks the X-Men while they're chilling out on their own little private beach on Xavier's
Yeah.
compound, and when he attacks them, not only is he going after Wolverine, but Colossus is there, Storm is there, and I believe Banshee and Nightcrawler,
Yep.
are there. And then they make the mistake of he jumps out, surprises them, shoots, and grazes Storm across the head. Thinking, and then he turns to himself, going, "Uh-oh, I've done a bad thing." Because once again, did I mention Colossus is there? Now keep in mind, this is not the X-Men today. This is the X-Men back then. And their dynamic of how they interacted were like international students who really cared for each other. So Storm was like up there, goddess level, but they didn't really put it out there. Okay, fine. You take this one of the people that can give Vindicator at the time or Weapon Alpha the most trouble. And then you leave him to the mercy of Wolverine, Berserker Barrage,
Yep.
Colossus, who was already like a powerhouse himself, right? And this
Yeah.
is
And
after they
Storm is a sister.
Storm, and exactly looks, and they look at Storm as their little sister because they think she's naive and they got to protect her. So Wolverine, Colossus, and Nightcrawler, along with Banshee, all look at her going, "Did you hurt our sister?" Good thing his force field's as strong as he thinks it is, because if not, he would have been disemboweled
Yeah.
by Wolverine alone. And by the
Yeah.
time Colossus, and this is before Banshee lost his scream, they go after him. And he's like to the point where it's like, oh my God, I've pissed them off. I shouldn't have done this. I need to leave. And that's where he used this teleport move to get away.
Yeah. Yeah. And it, I mean, James makes mistakes throughout his entire history. Even when he first takes Wolverine in, he almost gets disemboweled.
James, don't you think like we all have that one friend that's smart but doesn't have any common sense? That's James. If someone had to play James, you can't play him with common sense. You have to play him with, well, I'm going to do this. That doesn't make any sense, dude. And then, someone help me. We
Yeah,
all
I mean,
saw the problem.
perfect people who could embody James is like the Paul brothers.
You're talking like Logan Paul
Yeah,
and, his,
and Jake Paul. Yeah, they
and
have
Jake
no
Paul.
common sense.
Oh, jeez. You see, I always, and I said this real quick. I wanted Logan Paul as my saber tooth, but okay. But the Paul brother, like they're smart, but common sense sometimes. It's like,
yeah,
no. And
yeah,
that's my whole thing. So when you bring in Guardian, Vindicator, Weapon Alpha, like whatever you want to call them, in and out of costume, Heather's a smart one.
yeah,
His wife is a smart one, right?
yeah.
Like, and of course, I mean that parlays into later on, but he just doesn't make any. All the time, people are like, Bob, are you serious? Are we doing this right now? No, no, no. So
Yeah.
love Alpha Flight.
I mean,
I
when he's
love that
killed
they
in issue 12 of Alpha Flight,
right, right.
it's
Try to
like, and it's like, okay, he comes back later, of course, and and that's when him and Heather start switching back and forth of who's Guardian and who's Vindicator,
yeah.
because they both do that. But it's only because she's on the team does he stay alive for the rest of the series.
Yes.
Because he's going to
Yes. I
get
mean,
killed again.
right. Now eh, now that's my the hate I have, but the love I have is one I love that they're Canadian superheroes. Love I like how the power levels on them. They weren't just like low level tier characters. These were like some heavy hitters, period.
Yeah.
And then when they had their own series, even prior to the series, I like the fact that they were tied to the Canadian government. I like
Yeah.
that when John was drawing it, John was drawing Pierre Elliott Trudeau talking with James Hudson, talking about
Yeah.
Department H. And I'm thinking, okay, fine. Not only do we in that little short span, not only did we have a superhero team, we had a organization that was dealing with superhero teams, just like Shield, for in the states.
Mm-hmm.
So we were establishing
Yeah.
our own, and then of course, true to Canadian fashion, it's like, oh well, we have to disband Alpha Flight because the it's not in the budget. First, you guys failed in getting back Wolverine. First of all, it's Wolverine. How are you going to get him back? And second of
Yeah.
all, it's not in the budget, so we're
Well,
getting rid of
let's
Department H.
let's jump ahead basically a year
Right.
to X-Men 121
Mm-hmm.
and where the X-Men are flying back from I think Alaska or somewhere.
Right.
And they got to go through Canadian airspace
Oh no, they were flying back from Japan. I remember the issue. Okay, yes, I
to
remember the
Japan.
storyline.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's right. Yeah, which is odd because you shouldn't have to go through Canadian airspace, but let's deal with that. Um, but anyway, um, and they had really bad weather. Now this is because of Talisman. Yeah, not Talisman. I'm sorry, Shaman.
Shaman. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, Shaman. Um, who's exactly what he says. He's a shaman. Magic affects the weather. Um, then the next thing you see is big orange arms grabbing onto this plane. And that's where you get introduced to Sasquatch.
Yeah.
And they, I, the thing with I don't get personally is later in the series. I mean, this is a Hulk level character when he's holding back a 747 and by himself with the engines running. And then later on, it's like they depowered him
Yeah. Huge.
because he was never that strong again.
No, 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 no. You're right, and you know what? I think you're right. It wasn't. I think they were coming back from Alaska. Like I think they're coming from the Savage line. You're right. I think I got my storylines confused, but yeah, is he? And then that was it. Like the whole introduction to Alpha Flight in that issue. So because the first time we just saw Weapon Alpha, and then he's like, "Well, I want to get the rest of the team," and he comes back in that issue to get the X-Men, and each of them Alpha Flight. Now happy about it, but it seemed like the whole team was inept, right? And this is what I mean. So Shaman created the storm to force their plane to land, right? They rerouted the plane, forced the plane to land. All right. And then they're like, at one point, it's like, okay, Shaman, cut down on the storm. No, I can't stop it. It's gotten out of control. So he used a spell to create a blizzard to force their plane to land. And then Storm was trying to control it, to try to stop it and couldn't do it. And then it was out of control. So he couldn't even do it. So he started something he had no control over. That's one.
Right.
Sasquatch comes in when the plane's on the ground. Like, okay, Sasquatch, stop the plane from taking off. So he digs his claws into the hull of the plane underneath, right? And then the engines are going, so he throws it back. And then
Yeah.
once again, James is like, "What are you doing?" Oh, I didn't know my own strength. Oops.
Yeah.
Like, what? What? This is why
Yeah.
the X-Men have the danger room so they can find it, they can refine their powers. Unlike Alpha Flight, they needed a danger room to practice. So those are two mistakes that happen right away from the get-go. And
Yeah.
then of course, James shows up as Vindicator. I can't remember if he was Vindicator or Guardian at that point, right? But he
Guardian at
shows
that
up,
point.
right? And then Wolverine looks at him and is like, "Hey, bub." He's like, "Don't worry, I know who these guys are." Ah, pops the claws because now they're all pissed. And then the rest of the X-Men are like, "Weren't you the guy who attacked us when we were on the beach? Oh, you hurt our sister."
Yeah. And now Storm's trying to take care of this damn storm, which
Yeah,
pissing everybody off. And
attack her. Snowbird attacks her. I think Snowbird attacked her at
yeah,
first.
Snowbird attacks her.
It's like, I'm trying
And,
to
and
help you guys save your own country.
yeah.
Oops.
And then you get the twins. And at this point, John Paul doesn't seem to be gay. He's a womanizer,
Yes. Yes.
which we find out later is basically a cover for the fact that he's gay.
Yeah. 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 And I was okay with that. Right? Like,
Yeah.
that was a cool storyline.
I
That
mean,
made sense to me.
back in that time period, I knew a lot of guys who did that.
Yeah. They overcompensated to hide it, right? And I was
Yep.
fine with that. So that I'm all in for that one. That was, you know, and then of course his sister, right, who had the split personality, and
Jean Marie.
but yeah, if you look at the team, how they're drawn, a poster of them, you're like, oh, this team is awesome. And then
Yeah.
you see them in action, you're like, how do you guys keep making this many mistakes? The Avengers don't make that many mistakes. Justice League don't make that many mistakes. Teen Titans does not make that many mistakes in one fight,
Even when they were
right?
kids.
And they were kids. They were kids, right? Like Legion of Superheroes, nope. Like the Secret Society supervillains, even they didn't make that many mistakes. They just try to backstab each other. I'm like, it would just seem to be constant mistakes happening within the team that blew
Yeah.
my mind. Okay,
Yeah.
all
And
right, go for it.
then, okay, then we jump ahead
Yeah.
and we finally get Alpha Flight number one.
Yes. Yes.
And we add two more characters.
Yes.
And I have to say, of all of the Alpha Flight,
Right.
my favorite
Mm-hmm.
is that little guy, Puck.
We talked about
Don't
this
care
before.
much for Marina,
Right.
but they add these other two characters, and you also get introduced to Beta and Gamma Flight,
Yep.
and you actually find out, hey, these guys do have a training room. Of course, it's not as advanced as the Danger Room. Yeah, it's not even as advanced as the Avengers training room, but they've got one. How can you be that inept?
You're so right. So issue number one, loved it. It introduced us to the rest of it, right? The Beta and Gamma Flight, I love that concept that they actually had other teams working up and training them to get onto the main team, which is Alpha Flight. Love that idea. The two characters introduced, right? Puck. At first, I was like, Puck? It's like, really? The short guy's named after a puck? Literally, the Canadian sport? Okay. Right. But his origin was kind of cool. Like when you get the reason why in the Judd's origin. So that made it stand out and made it a lot of fun. And you could tell right away that he was supposed to be, if you took Puck out and put like Wolverine back on there, I think it could have been almost like a copy paste for their attitude and character, how they portrayed him.
Yeah,
Marina,
a lot of ways.
yeah, Marina, I thought she was an interesting character, and then the reason why is because it was like, hey, we got aliens too. You all got Superman that crash landed. We got aliens that came about, and her origin, how it was tied to the spaceship, how it was tied to the Master of the World. Now that character, Master of the World, one, I wish they gave him a different name
Yeah,
even back then when I first read it. But I liked his look. I liked that he was tied to the ship. I liked it was a very similar origin as a Vandal Savage.
in a way, yeah.
It, it had those ties, but it had more of a sci-fi element to it, which I don't think they fully explored. And the fact that the ship itself was growing, it was eating minerals to expand itself underneath the ground. So I know
Yep.
that Namor and Sue Storm show up at one point in this that particular early
Yep.
Alpha Flight run, excuse me. But issue one is when they disbanded, Department H.
Yeah.
Now, think of this. As a government, we've all seen the TV show or read the books, like The Boys, for example, Authority, and others. If the government gets into knowing that they have superpowered individuals, you think they're just going to disband and say, hey guys, sorry, we can't give you a paycheck. Oh, by the way, you're on your own. Do whatever you want to do. You're letting a person with that much power walk around your neighborhood?
You get the opposite with the Avengers right after the Korvac saga, where the government says, "Okay, we're taking control. You guys are working for us,
Right.
more or less," and then they say, "Well, you can only have 7 members,"
Yes.
and that's where I think that is where I think the concept of 7-member teams came from,
That makes sense. Yeah. Because
because
prior to
prior to
that, there
that,
wasn't.
yeah, you had the Justice League had so many members they could pull in. Yeah, they have maybe 4 or 5 that they have for a story, but they have different ones they could pull in.
Right.
Uh, you had the Avengers again blew up. The Defenders blew up to a larger team.
Yeah.
Um,
Justice Society,
yeah,
more than seven.
yeah.
Legion of Superheroes, period.
Agent of Superheroes was out with like 35 characters in the 70s.
Yeah.
So, but like I said, you'd have 3 or 4, maybe 5 on a story.
Hmm. True.
Yeah, and but then it came to the idea of okay, the Avengers right after the Korvac saga, 7 characters, and a lot of writers and artists I've talked to are like, once you get past 7 characters, it becomes unwieldy to write the book, unless you're George Perez drawing.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a different story.
So I got 70 characters on this one page. George, we're running out of space. No, no, no. We could put in some. Who was a shrinking character? I could put him in the corner.
Or I can we can print one that folds out.
It's true. You made a point. I didn't even think about that. So yeah, that full well seems like if we had to really look into it, it probably started with Marvel with the Avengers. Good call out, man.
Yeah,
That's a great call out.
yeah,
Not even good. That's a great
yeah.
call out.
And
Huh.
that's also where they basically I considered it something stupid. It was the okay, let's put on a um let's put on the token black character
Which one? You talking Avengers
in
or just in
Avengers.
general? Yeah, yeah, I know you're
Avengers.
talking about. Yeah,
Yeah, because that's where the government said, um, you've got to diversify, and we're putting the Falcon on the team.
right.
And he didn't want to be on the team at that point.
No, he's like, I don't want to be the token black guy. And then I remember Tony Stark is like, what? We're diverse. We have mutants. We have females. We have. And the Wasp is like, Tony, maybe you should shut up. Yeah, but no, no,
Yeah,
no. We got Black Panther's part of this team, right? He's not here,
yeah,
Tony. Who else you have? Falcon. He doesn't want to be on the team, Tony. But we're diverse. We're diverse.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, and the government put Falcon on. I don't remember how many issues he lasted, but it wasn't long.
No, 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 no.
Mhm. Then later on, Tiger joins, and it's like, well, you can't tell what race she is.
Nope.
She's a cat.
She's like,
Now we know she's white,
yeah, but
but
but to the public, if you're living in that world, looking, it's like, oh no, she's orange. It's like, okay, well, we what is she eating? A bird? Oh, okay, we.
Mockingbird. Okay, I didn't say that.
That's a whole different story. It's a whole different show.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's but a good character though.
Yes.
Man. Okay, yeah. All right, so I got you on that one. So yeah, so that was my hate love relationship, and you see what I'm
Yeah.
talking about too when it comes to Alpha Flight. That's funny.
Yeah.
When it comes to Alpha Flight,
I had a similar thing with Marina. It was I love the concept of the character. I just didn't like the way they wrote it.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but and the master of the world,
Mm.
I don't know if you've noticed, but the way he was drawn and everything, he was a um, he was a tribute to I can't remember the actor's first name. Delgado is the last name, who played the Master on Doctor Who.
No, I did not know. But I see, once again, I wouldn't have picked it up. I wasn't a huge Doctor Who fan. I know back then, and I've kind of gone into it now. But there's other, like some of my other buddies, like who I talk about, like Dave, uh, and Rod. They would, yeah, okay. I didn't know that. I didn't catch that at all.
Yeah, I would
Huh.
have loved to have been on that Doctor Who um, one you did about a year or so ago.
Oh yeah, with Dave and Rod, that's
Yep,
when I just had to sit back and say, okay, guys, you go because
I should have been there.
you should have been there. You guys would have ran that show, and it's never too late to get you all back. I know Dave; he's a phone call away. If I reach out to him, it's like, brother Dave, man, we're talking about Doctor Who. He's there.
Yeah,
We can
especially
do
with
another
everything
four
that's
way and
gone
catch
on
up.
since
Yeah.
everything that's gone on since oh Christ, I can't remember his name offhand. Uh, the newest Doctor
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
on Disney.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. This was like Rod is 100% in the show, and Dave still watches that show. Dave's got a you've seen the episodes, so you see how Dave's such a fan. I'll put you know what we'll get together another Doctor Who. There's nothing wrong with that. We can do
yeah,
it. We can do another Doctor Who show, and I'll sit there with the popcorn and let you guys go.
yeah. And then I mean they had some great characters in there. Nemesis,
Yeah.
um, Windshear wasn't that good.
Hmm.
But then you had the I'm going to call it the comedic Alpha Flight
Yeah.
um, with Century or I think that was his name,
Yeah.
old
I know what you're
guy,
talking about. Right. 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 Right.
um, and of course Box,
Yes.
Madison Jeffries.
Yes. Yes. And that was he.
Uh,
And now his mutant power that was cool. That he was like their forge.
yeah,
I don't need an Alpha Flight versus X-Men. What I need is just an Alpha Flight back to the roots. I mean, I know since then Department H just started back up. I think they need to clear up or clean up some of the past with Alpha Flight and bring them back to their roots and give that book another go, like a proper
yeah,
go,
yeah,
and let it
I,
be written by people who understand the Canadian culture, and go from there.
yeah. I mean I like Yukon Jack. I like
Mhm.
Nemesis. Didn't care for Major Maple Leaf.
No,
Uh, but yeah, they had some great characters in there. Um, Trying to remember the name of the girl from Gamma Flight. Extra strong. Um,
is it Diamond Lily?
yeah, Diamond Lily.
Right. Because I remember the
Yeah,
point where she was able to pull out one of her hair strands and almost use it to like almost, lacerate somebody.
yeah, she was a good character. I mean, Alpha Flight had some great times, but they also, I have to say, Volume 2 wasn't that great. With Manbot and Murmur.
Right.
Um, Volume 3 was funny.
Yeah.
Um, then we got Omega Flight.
Hmm.
Um, then we had the kind of Alpha Flight slash Omega Flight with Puck chasing down the Hulk during Immortal Hulk
Right.
storyline. And Puck in charge was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So,
Puck in charge, interesting. Puck, him and Heather had a romantic relationship at one point.
yep.
Once again, as I said, it's like, okay, well, we don't have Wolverine, but we have this new character, and it's the fact that Puck being there didn't make me miss Wolverine being not on the book. It was more interesting to have Puck there
Yeah.
and see how he was at one point. And even though he poked fun at his name, he was, when he didn't have that curse on him because of that sword that he was trying to keep away,
Hmm.
which took away his height but gave him extra powers. He was the 6'2" adventurer, world adventurer. Like there's a mini series that needs to be done on Puck, and I'm not
Oh,
even
yeah.
being, even though the character's name makes you go, you want to get hockey sticks and slap them around, right? There's a mini series that needs to be told that can go a lot deeper
Yeah.
that
I mean,
he's not
he was basically an archaeological thief.
right.
So you've got a kind of bad guy, um, Indiana Jones history from him. That would be
Yep.
great just to get that background because, I mean, now he was hitting middle age when he got the curse, and that basically made him into a dwarf.
And you got Michael who deals with magic.
Puck never made me miss Wolverine. He made me think it was like this is a guy who is going to be a buddy with Wolverine. They're going to sit down and drink
Oh
and
yeah.
smoke cigars together.
Yeah.
The guys who made me miss Wolverine is when they put Wild Child
Oh gosh, yes.
and when they put Yukon Jack.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those were
Yeah.
guys. It's like, no, you don't. We don't. Okay, there are, I believe it's 7 or 8 archetypes: brawler, blaster,
Okay,
defender,
yeah.
so forth. Archetypes, and but you don't need a carbon copy of Wolverine to be your brawler.
No. 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 I think that's more whoever sitting in the office says, "Oh, you know what I mean? Like when one movie's successful, oh, we need a similar person. When a song's successful, the other company we need someone just like that type, right? It's like you don't have to copy and paste every single person. So, Alpha
Yep.
Flight, once again, I would love to see them back to the Department H. I would like to see them dealing with things on Canadian soil, just like how the Avengers do, and even beyond that, it does because the Avengers don't just stay in America, right? They do expand and go across. So,
Yeah.
Alpha Flight in London would be great. Alpha Flight in outer space would be great. Alpha Flight dealing with a lot of the mysticism stuff that happens because of Shaman and because of Puck, or
Yeah.
the science fiction things, right? Like
Yeah.
aliens come to Earth, they just don't always land in New York
I mean, I didn't really
or
like the
Washington.
space
Yeah.
program version with Captain Marvel and
Mhm.
Abigail Brand,
Yep.
although it did bring back Puck, Aurora, and Sasquatch. That was
Mhm.
great. Um, you know, seeing those guys, but it just didn't seem right with Captain Marvel.
No.
Um, and then we got back the original team for a while.
Mhm.
Um, then apparently there was a relaunch during the Fall of X, which I didn't get to read, so I'm not sure what happened there. Um, but um, apparently Fang, Dakin joined for a while, and they ended up helping some Canadian mutants become refugees to Chandelare, the Shi'ar Empire,
Okay.
and that's the last thing we saw. Um, and apparently, there were the remaining human members were arrested by Department H for treason with a comatose Heather Hudson ending up in their medical quarters at the end of that, and that's the last we saw of Alpha Flight.
See, they gave him a tragic end to it. It wasn't even like they got a proper end they could keep going on. And here's the thing with like Canada. Canada, big land mass, right?
Yeah,
A lot of it we have our farmlands across souls. That mass. You're trying to tell me aliens couldn't come down? Like, look at the Master of the World, right? He came down and nobody knew he was there until they kind of came across him at one point, inadvertently. There's places for
yeah,
people to hide out for Alpha Flight to deal with across Canada, period. It doesn't always have to be middle of winter. We have summers too in Canada. I think there's a
yeah,
lot more potential to the team that what can be done. And I think they have to stop writing them so much as their oops moment and really show the power levels and the intelligence the team has and dealing with it. Now, the Canadian government not supporting it. Yeah, well, that anyone lives in Canada is like, yeah, that's why they go down to America because Americans pay more, right? You got more of a chance to do certain things there than here, even if you're doing the same thing, and that's in day to day life. So that kind of hits a little bit true to home.
yeah.
The other side of it is though, we have a team. We should use it more. So there we go. That's it. Who else? Who
Yeah,
else
they
you
could
got,
always
Larry? Was
do.
that?
They could always do something with a character sponsoring them, some rich guy or
Yeah,
something.
for
I mean,
sure.
Christ, how many times is um the um the I'm trying to think of his first name, her first name. Anyway, Iron Man's mother's organization
Oh, right.
sponsors the Avengers.
Yep,
Everybody gets a paycheck on the
exactly.
Avengers.
Yep,
So, you know, I'm sure there's rich Canadians.
there is.
Um,
They're all
yeah,
selling maple syrup. No,
I mean they might not be Elon Musk, but
but they are. They are. I mean, look. I mean, even in real life. I mean, you have that family, the Stroll family, right? You have Lawrence Stroll and his son Lance Stroll, who drives for Formula One. Now, even though Lance Stroll, he's always dead last on the track, and I'm not going to get into that one. There's other Canadian families that do have money. It's there. There's a lot of resources that's there. You know. Look, our ex prime minister has money, and he's down in the states now, dating Katy Perry and having a good time,
yeah,
and
I
he's got money.
I mean there's a lot there, and there's a lot you can do with these characters, even the older characters
Yeah.
that are coming up for public domain. I know people have been trying to do Captain Canuck stories on TV, on make movie. I know people have talked with um, other people about doing Northguard and Fleur de Lys.
Hmm.
Nothing's come of it, unfortunately. Um, Alpha Flight, hey, come on, it's Marvel MCU. We can get these characters out there.
Yeah, I agree. And I think where the big miss is like when before the MCU really started taking off, right? Before the first live action Iron Man. At
Yeah,
one point, DC Comics was doing really great with all their animated stuff, right? We had the Justice League, we had Batman, the animated series, Superman animated series, so forth. So
yeah,
at that time, Marvel was coming back and they did these direct to DVD movies, and one
yeah,
of them was Doctor Strange. One was Iron Man. Not in that order, but I think it was Iron Man was first, and then it was Doctor Strange. Then they did one which we have to definitely talk about, which is Avengers Next, where it's the Avengers kids in the future,
yep,
right? And then of course the the crescendo was well, they had Planet Hulk, and then it was like Hulk versus, so it was Hulk versus Wolverine and Hulk versus Thor.
yep,
Those were really good because the Doctor Strange one came out before there was a live action Doctor Strange movie.
yeah,
And for people who didn't know who Doctor Strange was, they just thought he was a guy that walked around with hands like Spider-Man all the time or giving the peace symbol. You know, they got to experience that and see how that would look live action. And then at the time, they said, well, we're doing animated because to do a live action Doctor Strange movie would cost too much. So we're going to do it animated.
right,
Guess what? How many now live action Doctor Strange movies do we have, or how that character showed up live? So what was
right.
too expensive years ago, at that time, has made it its way now. And I think this is
Well,
what they need to do with Alpha Flight.
that's one of the reasons why, other than didn't get that great of ratings either, is the 1970s movie, TV movie, got basically not made into a series
Yep.
like, I mean, Spider-Man
Mm-hmm. Right.
weekly
Yeah.
series, Hulk
Yep.
weekly series,
True.
longest lasting weekly series of all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Captain America, two movies,
Yep.
and then and the fact was the cost of doing special effects plus the rating killed it. They wanted to turn it into a weekly series, but they just couldn't do it.
Budget.
Also, I kind of glad of that because the way they screwed up the origin really pissed me off.
Oh gosh. No, 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 it wasn't. And I didn't even realize that movie was made until like, or that that one shot was made to be a weekly series. It was kind of a pilot until like, more of my later years than earlier. It's like people say Doctor Strange, and I saw the picture, and I'm like, someone's doing a parody. And I read it, it's like, holy crap, that was real.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and that's my thing. And here's once again another little rant. Bottom line is this: Disney owns Marvel. We got that great. Okay, Disney's whole wheelhouse is about animation. That's their biggest thing. I mean, they do a lot of live action stuff too, so I'm not taking one away the other, but they're really good at their animated process. And Marvel was doing that before they got into the house with the mouse. Now
Yep.
that they're all together and they have the Marvel Spotlight moniker. They have it, they've used it. They don't use it enough because to me, Marvel Spotlight should be once every, 3 months, put out a Marvel Spotlight, be it live action or animated, and they could use a Marvel Spotlight and do, hey, Marvel Spotlight, Alpha Flight, and just do an Alpha Flight story, right?
Yeah.
And see how it comes across. It might not go anywhere, but if they put it on Disney Plus, it would get more of their IPs out there that people would turn around and go, "Oh, I didn't know about this. Let me look into this." And if they see it starts to get some traction, then figure out what they want to do next. This is where they're missing with the Marvel Spotlight, in my opinion. That's not like I've read it anywhere. There's no factual facts I have on it. It's just really my feeling. If you have something called a spotlight a character. Go back to what your books used to do and spotlight it. And that's where I think they could have done at least an animated version of
Oh
that.
yeah. I mean, they did the Werewolf by Night.
Yep.
They've done a Punisher movie now.
Yep.
Um, so why not talk about some of the other characters like Alpha Flight?
Right.
Um,
Alpha Flight, Deathlock. Like go back to the Marvel Spotlight book and see
yeah,
what did we cover in this book, and then can we do a half an hour, 40 something minutes, be it animated or live action, and
yeah,
go for it. Like throw a stone in the water. This is what Marvel Spotlight's supposed to be about, in my 2 cents. So
yeah.
Alpha Flight
I mean,
should come back. It needs to come back
yeah, yep,
properly.
yes. It's got to be the original team,
Yep.
and they need to be doing something basically um, where they're either working with the government or somebody rich is sponsoring.
Which would be a nice twist.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, well, that
And
brings
that's
us to
pretty much
that.
my take on Canadian superheroes.
Well, thank you for that, Larry. I like how you're wearing your Red Lantern shirt. That's the shirt you should wear when you get into, traffic jams and so forth.
But there's only two that I wear. This one
Mhm.
and yellow.
Ah, oh man, you gotta have a conversation with my buddy Sean. He does all the different like Superman ones, right? He's
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. Okay, all
And
right, all right.
and then
And
I have a couple of great ones from the 52. You remember the 52 weeks?
yeah, yeah,
Um, so I've got one with Jimmy Olsen's face, where it says Jimmy Olsen must die, and I've got one with Mary Marvel,
right.
and its headline is the same title as that stupid 1950s psychology book, Seduction of the Innocent.
Oh, so wrong. That's so funny. So see, like, okay, yeah, okay, all right. The wheels are turning.
I'll have to wear
Whoa,
that sometime.
man, yes, you do, Larry. Thank you once again.
Thanks for
Um,
letting me talk about your guys.
Hey, thank you for being on here, man. You see, this is what love is, right? He's American, I'm Canadian, and it's all love across the border. We don't need borders, man. There we go. Everyone
Yeah.
knows where the line ends and it starts. Let's have a good time. On that note, so Larry, any last words, Larry? Thank you once again for this. But any last words?
Hey, as I always say to everyone, keep reading, keep writing, keep drawing. Y'all creators, and we're backing you.
Absolutely. And I'll say this: this whole world started by pencil, a piece of paper, and lots of imagination. Keep on dreaming. Right? Let us know what you think. Put in the comments down below. Like, subscribe, and share. Don't let the show be a secret. And hey, we got a lot of stuff on this channel, right? So wherever you get your podcast from, wherever you watch your YouTube, or you just want to put it on background noise, we've got this. We got reread, we watch, right? So we talk about storylines, we talk about movies we've watched, we've got toy unboxings, we've got interviews, we've got it all for you. We just need more of you to jump on our little journey and let us know what you enjoy and what we can do next. So our ears are always open. There's so many characters to cover. This show will go on for years. All right, cool. On that note,
Yeah.
you all have yourselves a great day.